any kind of notes. I have to be like,
Oh, sweet spot that you need.
so Linda, the next class, I see that you may be teaching that one.
No, actually, Robbie will be.
Okay.
Yeah, Steep was going to, but she's really busy with her book release. And so then I just put myself down, and then Robbie was like, no, I'll do it. I'm like, all right.
I almost wanted to volunteer, but then I have this class, which is 6 classes. And
Right.
the spring is here, and I have some plans. And I said, if I commit, then it's going to be long.
You don't want to put too much on your plate. Yeah. No, Robbie was fine with it. He offered.
How did I luck out to have also classes that have 6 classes in it?
I know. I noticed that. I'm like, Heyman gets all the long classes.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. I don't mind it. And we can always work around it. Sometimes you can make it 5, sometimes 6, but it's good to have that extra day just in case you miss something or you want to just do a summary or people have questions.
Absolutely. I agree.
Paul, how are you?
I'm good. I'm just trying to catch up on everything because I was kind of busy with the sand mandalas, but I'm not complaining. They're amazing. Hang on one second. I need to get an email address and email somebody the Zoom link.
All right. Hello, Rainey.
Well, hello, Matt.
How are you today?
Doing well.
And Linda, were you able to email that meditation PDF to everyone? We've done it many classes, Karen Vellum.
Yeah, I think I did. I think I posted it with the homework on the course
Great.
materials. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Mr. Hanson, how are you? You're not here. Hello, Margaret.
Hello, how are you?
I am fine, thank you. Thank you for joining today. Hello, Paul.
Well, you're a great teacher. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's all together. We are all in the same boat. Paul, how are you doing? If you're speaking, I can hear you, Mr. Hanson. Hello, Don.
Hi there, Hemant. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for joining.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, I'm showing that it's 7 o'clock, so whenever you're ready to get started, Hemant, we can
I am ready.
go on.
No problem. So anyways, first of all, thank you for joining, everyone. And hello, Jeevan, and hello, Margaret, and Don, and Paul, and Rainey, and Patty's just joining. Okay, so this is establishing a daily practice, session number 3 of 6. And again, my email address is at the bottom here, in case if you want to connect with me. And just give me a couple of days. Sometimes I don't respond right away because I do get a lot of emails sometimes, but I will get back to you, hook or crook. Jeevan, welcome. And hello, Carmen. All right, so we're gonna get going. So if you don't mind, again, Linda Shah is our co-spiritual program coordinator, and I'm teaching this particular module. So let's do our prostrations, okay? Just take a moment. And if you're seated in your home or if you're in the Kadampa Center, feel free to do 3 prostrations, okay? Om Namo Manjushri, Namo Sushri, Namo Tamashri. Om Namo Manjushri, Namo Sushri, Namo Tamashri. Om Namo Manjushri, Namo Sushri. Okay, so the plan for today, as typical, we do our prostrations and then we do our motivation and we do calm abiding. And again, remember the meditations in the beginning with the breath that we normally do in every class is for 2 reasons. One is obviously we had a busy day and we want to come back to the class and be focused here. And number 2, it helps you to learn to concentrate, to focus. Remember when we are thinking about breath and we tell you that if your mind starts to wander, simply bring it back to your breath. What are you doing? You're trying to keep your mind focused on one thing, right? So all your meditations are like that, basically, right? If your mind starts to go into some storyline, you want to gently bring it back to the topic. And that's the reason we do calm abiding meditation. And then what we'll do is I'll give a quick summary. It's important. There's a lot of material that we cover. And then a lot of times a week goes by, people come back and it's like, what was that all about? I kind of forgot. So it's good to have a summary so it catches you up to the class. And it's good to reiterate because as I had mentioned the very first class, it is the quality of what you do rather than quantity. So we don't want you to be overwhelmed by just simply material, right? And we want to make sure that we understand it or you get something out of it. Then today we're going to talk about a graduated path to enlightenment, how to meditate on Lamrim, the goal of Buddha Dharma, and then generating the experience. And then we'll talk about what we call multi-pronged approach. Like, you may do this a little bit of that, a little bit of this, that kind of thing. And you can make your own plan. And then we'll end with a meditation. And today's meditation is admittedly a little longer than typical because we're going to do refuge. We're going to do and also we're going to do the I forget the name. What do you call?
Or immeasurables?
No, we're going to include the four and seven limb. I was thinking about
Seven.
seven limbs. So we're going to incorporate all that into the meditation today. And so it takes you through Shakyamuni and then doing the preliminary practices, taking the refuge, the four immeasurable, and then the seven limb prayer. Okay, so it's a little lengthy. So I'm going to remind myself that around 5 till 10 till 8, we're going to pause no matter where we are, and we're going to go into meditation. Okay, and then we'll dedicate and we'll just take a quick look at the next session and take it from there. Okay. Okay, so let's get your mind into the present, and let's take a moment and do a brief meditation, and we'll set our motivation. Okay. So just get in your position again. You know the spine is straight. The legs are either on the floor or folded. The hands kind of open, but your right hand over your left hand, your thumbs are touching like a triangle about 2 fingers below your navel. Your head is slightly tilted. Your jaw and your mouth is relaxed. Your tongue is touching the upper palate behind the teeth, and your eyes are slightly open just to be aware so you don't fall asleep. And the whole idea of this position is to keep the winds in the body moving clearly and nicely, and putting less constraint on any part of the body to then kind of interrupt with your meditation. That's the whole idea behind it, okay? So then focus on your breath. Either you can focus on your belly going in and out as you inhale and exhale, or just focus on your nostril, just feeling that little tingle when your breath is going out and coming in, and keep your mind focused on that breath. And as I mentioned, if your mind starts to wander because it's been busy all day, it's okay. Observe and just bring it gently back to the breathing. And your idea is to keep your mind focused on your breath. And let's set the motivation for this particular class, and start by asking, why am I listening to these sessions? Why am I making this effort? What is it that I have to gain? Even if it is something as simple as less distress in my mind, embracing that and accepting that. Then recognizing that each person listening to these teachings and who are present here has a simple wish. Some longing to be fulfilled, some suffering of body or mind, of which they would like to be free, or excited to learn Dharma. Then expanding our motivation to include all those present, thinking, by virtue of making this effort to listen to these teachings, may each of these beings fulfill the longing in their heart, be free from suffering, and achieve the happiness they seek. Also inviting to this place every single living being, every form of life, and recognizing clearly that each one of us has a simple wish for happiness. the simple wish to be free from discomfort or disease of any kind. And imagine that each of these people, each of these beings has taken care of you when you were sick, when you were dying, when you had a need of some kind. But now it is as if we have amnesia. We don't remember. Then with that awareness that someone is reminding you of the ways of all these different beings have helped you, generate a strong wish to repay their kindness in some way. That by virtue of listening to these teachings, may I be able to repay all kindnesses ever done to me 1,000-fold. And may I remember each one, and may I swiftly attain all the qualities of enlightenment, that I might quickly be able to do just that. Okay, now bring your mind back to the class. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to do a little summary, real quick summary of the class number 1. I've already gone through it, but in case somebody's new, and just to remind us. Okay, I mean, we remembered the video and the 7-point meditation posture. The key point was that sometimes when you go to these classes, when you read a lot, when you attend so many classes, we get insensitivity to Dharma. You don't feel that excitement, right? So we want to create, you want to be sensitive to Dharma. You want to create that warm, fuzzy feeling when you see, similar to when you see your teacher after a long time, when you listen to that song, remember that example? When you hear a song that you really love, how it makes you feel, no matter how many times you hear, same feeling needs to come to your mind. Okay, and then we did that analogy of leather and butter, and you want to kind of have, you want to keep the butter, you want to rub the butter into the leather so the leather is pliable, just like rubbing the Dharma onto your mind so that it's pliable. You accept it, you learn it, and you integrate it. Otherwise, if the butter sits in that leather pouch for a long time, it becomes hardened. Okay, and so this is where we begin. You've had several DB classes, at least some of you did. And so this is when you want to start to integrate some of those teachings into a daily practice. And why? This is not about how many books you read and how many authors you've gone through, rather changing our mind. If your goal is to become Buddha, to be enlightened, and to benefit others, you're applying for this job. So you need to know what that looks like. And first step is to start to make a positive change in your own mind. For many, even in this life, let's forget past lives even. Even in this life, we've been putting so much stuff. You think about the media, the marketing, the magazines we read, our teachers, our parents, friends, all the stuff, the value system that we have been taught again and again. So much negativity going on in the world today, right? All this is in your head. And the only way to change that is to start to really contemplate what is this all about and how can I make a positive impact, not only for yourself, for others. And that's why this is where the rubber meets the road. We want to start to learn to practice. Okay, then in class 2, we got advice from the daily practice by Lama Zopa Rinpoche. He just gave us a general advice of morning practices, evening practices, meditation manuals, the 6 preparatory practices, setting up an effective meditation session. So let's start with a quote. I had this quote last time, but it's important to remember this. So anytime you have freedom and your state is favorable, which we have, right? We have this human life. We have a precious human life. And we talked about it, and we'll discuss that a little later. And if you do not take their advantage and lose your freedom by falling into lower realms or a state of mind that is distraught, who will then raise you again? So what an opportunity this is. Okay, that's the whole idea behind this quote. Okay. So we talked about morning practices. Again, just want to reiterate, it may seem a lot of stuff. How am I going to remember all these things? How am I going to do all these things? I don't want you to focus there. Rather, just think in general terms. You have morning, You start with a nice bodhicitta mind. Thank you, I'm alive today. I can make a difference. Okay, it doesn't take too long to develop that kind of a mind. Then you do some preliminary prayers, and I talked about if you have the FPMT prayer book, and if you're serious, I may suggest that you try to get a copy. All the prayers, none of these practices are in there. And you can start by doing multiplying mantra. When you do this, it multiplies so many thousand times. You can think about your body like your feet. May they don't kill or hurt somebody unknowingly. If I do my mantra, may this multiply many, many times. You kind of say these things, and then you purify your speech. So whatever you say has a meaning. It has a lot of power behind it. So a lot of these things are very powerful. It is, again, to benefit your own mind. Okay. And then we talked about doing the 35 confession Buddha. Some of you, depending on your age or your body, if you're not able to do full prostrations, you can do half prostrations. And if you choose to do this, this is a purification practice, right? These 35 Buddhas promise that if we are doing prayers, and whoever does these prayers, we will benefit you with this obscuration and with that obscuration. So it really is like very tremendously powerful practice. However, many people choose and they like the Vajrasattva, which is optional in the daytime, but you can also do a Vajrasattva practice. And we'll do, hopefully, during this 6 classes, we'll be talking about Vajrasattva practice. Then you do a little Guru Puja, Guru Yoga, if you have a teacher. If you don't have a teacher, you can certainly, we did the meditation, the first class, like Shakyamuni Buddha. That's your teacher then. Because he gave us the Dharma, right? Shakyamuni Buddha gave us the Dharma, so it's your teacher. But if you've taken refuge, if you have a teacher, there is a whole, actually, even in the prayer book, and in even the liberation in palm of your hand, day 7, page 217 talks about devotion to your teacher, and it kind of walks you right through it. Okay, so you may do that. And then you want to do some Lamrim prayer, and we're going to talk about it today. And then you can do some mantras. You can do Mani Padme Hum, Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. You can do that Hamune Mune Mahamune Soha, or you can do Medicine Buddha, whichever mantras you do for whatever the reasons, but you can certainly do those mantras. Now, do you have to do it in one session, all of these things? No. But if you can, some people like to do it, and some people like to take a little break and then do it. Fine, but just get your mind in the right place. And then the evening, you can do a little reading of Lamrim. Again, if you want to do prostrations to 35 Buddhas, and then you can do your practice of Vajrasattva. I particularly, personally, I do Vajrasattva in the evening or late afternoon. When you've done, maybe you committed some not so good thoughts, it's a great way to practice in the evening to think about those things and say, I hope I can avoid these again, right? And then you dedicate, and then you go to sleep. So this is a very general advice. Some of you may already be doing certain things. Some of you have commitments. So it all depends. But at least for people who are just starting out, not knowing where to begin, this is just a general advice. Then we talked about 6 preparatory practices. Okay. And these are very important to have in your mind. So why do we do the preparatory practices? This is to clean our slate again, to ripen our minds to generate realizations quickly. That's why we do this. And then accumulate positive merits and energy. This kind of raises a positive energy. You clean your place, set up the altar, nice and easy, not too cluttered. We talked about how to set it up. And cleaning, no matter what you do, just a little cleaning, you're cleaning obscurations out. Think that way. Just clean it. Then obtain offerings, right? And you want to get those with some sort of honesty. So in other words, you want to make sure that you offer things you have not created. So those wrong thinking, like forcing somebody to give you something, baiting somebody, hinting something, flattering somebody, or a pretense by pretense. Want to give honestly. And even if it is one flower, or even if it is one little candy you want to offer, multiply it in your mind. Make it large. It is your mind that matters. Okay? Then you invoke your merit field. If you have teachers, your deities, Shakyamuni Buddha, and it can be very elaborate. In Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand, it's pretty elaborate, and it may, it may take some time to understand it, but for point and purpose for today, just have Shakyamuni Buddha, your teachers, and create a merit field. And then we offer a 7-limb prayer and mandala. And then we make some requests, and we're going to go through that. So we also talked about 4 parts of meditation session, right? That you've done your preliminary practices, you've done your offerings. So when we do the offerings, you will hear when even Geshe Sangpo does pujas, he will say Argam, Padyam, Pushpe, Dupe, Aloke, Nevidye, Shabde, Praticham, Soha. Sounds like foreign words to many. But Allah, when you start out, when you say Argam, you're giving drinking water. Padyam, you're washing the feet, right? Pushpe, you're offering flowers. Dupe, you're offering incense. Aloke, you're offering lights. Nevidya, you're offering food. And Shabde, you're offering music. It comes from a traditional background. When somebody of importance came to your home, how would you offer them some things? It comes from that. But again, you're inviting Buddha, you're inviting your deity, you're inviting your teachers in your place. So you want to have a mind that is humble and offers. Okay, and so it prepares you, and then you set your motivation, and then you do your actual meditation, and then of course you want to dedicate. And again, when you, all of these practices, preliminary practices, 7-limb prayer, these are again shifting your mind from you've just gotten up from sleep, and you have a day to face in front of you, and you're already thinking, if you're working, I have a meeting coming up, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do a spreadsheet. All these things are going on in your head. This is taking some time for yourself with focused mind and going through these things in a certain process, very systematic way. And it shifts your mind it becomes calmer, a little more focused, and you've helped your own mind to be calmer the rest of the day, right? So that's what you want to do. So that was what I wanted to cover. And in 7-limb prayer, without going, just since I'm here, I'll just tell you, remember the 7-limb prayer are part of your preparatory practices. And when you sit down for your meditation session, there is a prayer in a prayer book. It's a simple couple of lines, 7 limbs that I prostrate, with my body, speech, and mind. I offer all kinds of things, actually, and imagine. And these are simply words, but it triggers a thought. If you've done it, if you've offered a flower, if you've prostrated, this will clearly trigger mind doing that, right? When I say I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. Now, we did prostrations before when we started the class. A picture of that in your mind and just going like this 3 times before you sit down for your meditation session, you've done your prostrations. I offer all kinds of things, actually, and imagine. Mentally offer. You may want to put a little something on the bowl. Maybe you want to do a little elaborate and do your 8 bowls, okay? And then you confess your negative actions. Basically, you're letting it out completely. You just bringing any negative in front of you, and by doing so, you're kind of saying, okay, I am trying not to do this again. So it just comes out of your system a little bit, right? And all of those have antidotes. If you're offering something, you're overcoming miserliness. You're confessing something, it gets rid of 3 poisons like attachment and anger and ignorance. If you're rejoicing, which is the next limb, I rejoice in all things, and so then you can overcome jealousy. Then you request your teacher, please remain until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for all beings. Okay, and you're telling them it overcomes wrong views, and you're requesting teacher to stay and teach. So you're telling your mind, I want to continue to learn Dharma. I want to continue to practice. And then you dedicate for yourself and for all living beings. Because you want to hone this energy forward. So it continues for you. That's why you dedicate. So you can see how the preliminary practices help you. So with that, plan for today, we're going to talk a little bit about the graduate path to enlightenment, how to meditate on Lamrim, the goal of Buddha Dharma, generating the experience, multi-pronged approach, meditation, motivation, and dedication. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Lamrim is translated as graduated path to enlightenment. Okay, there are two Lamrim. So you can think about Lamrim Chenmo, compiled by Lama Tsongkhapa, which is the most extensive and detailed explanation. I took the blurriness from my background out so I can actually share them. These are the 3 volumes. You can see them in the book in our Kadampa Center, right? You can see them, right? Can you see them? Okay. So that's the Lamrim Chenmo. And then you have Liberation in Palm of Your Hand, which is compiled from notes of Trijang Rinpoche, from teachings given by Pabongka Rinpoche. It's very useful to get used to these readings and these texts. So think about Lamrim for a second. Buddha taught how many? 84,000 teachings, right? 84,000 teachings. Then to Lama Tsongkhapa, actually Atisha, 11th century. Okay, he was a scholar, and he was invited to Tibet. And even though they told him that his life is going to cut short because he's traveling to Tibet, it's rough over there, they invited him. So he went there, and he found that there were many yogis there. The Buddhism was there. However, they had lost the plot. They were mixing Tantra and the local Dharma with Buddhism, and they didn't know Diamond Cutter Sutra, Lotus Sutra, Dhammapada, all kind of stuff was going on. Nobody had it organized. So what he did, he wrote this book called Lamp of the Path to Enlightenment and provided structure. Okay, give a nice structure to it. Okay, so just so you know, and then he clarified the confusion. And in Tibet, he taught people how to practice properly, and he clearly structured Sutra and Tantra teachings. And then, so it was supposed to be the best gift of Dharma to anybody. Think about it. You take 84,000 teachings and structure them so people like us can understand it. And here it is in front of you in a printed version that you can read. So very good. So then comes Lama Tsongkhapa in 14th century. He took the details and he provided extensive writings on graduated path to enlightenment. And it's called the Great Treatise of the Stages of the Path to Enlightenment. Okay, there are 3 volumes. And just if you took the Presenting the Path, and if you haven't, the Lamrim is divided into 3 scopes. The lower scope, or people with a lesser understanding, just like a school, right? If you're in a junior school, the middle school, and you're going to graduate in the high school, right? And it's for a reason, because you can't teach high school stuff to a junior. It doesn't make sense. So it's gradually, it's 6 stages of the path. Step by step, it takes you up. Okay, so it's very important. And then of course, with Lama Tsongkhapa, he has extensive version, a middling version, which is still not translated in English, then Songs of the Experience, which is a short version, and even shorter version is called the Foundation of All Good Qualities. It is also in the prayer book, and we get a chance, I may want to go through it once, so you know. It's in a prayer form. It goes through Lamrim topics, and it says, please bless me so that I can do this. Please bless me. It's like amazing, and this is a great training for us, even in meditation. It's really very short. It doesn't take too long, maybe 5 to 10 minutes if you do it. But once you've gone through it, you will see that all of the Lamrim topics come up. Okay? So we're going to talk about that in a minute here. So that's a foundation of God. There's 14 verses in short in Foundation of All Good Qualities. Okay. So little discussion here on how to meditate on Lamrim. So first, what you want to do is do a review meditation. And to just give you an example, let me find my book. We'll talk a little, again, I will discuss this one more time. But if you were to take a liberation in palm of your hand, okay, look at the content. Just open it up if you have it in front of you, and you will see very clearly it says part 1, preliminaries. Okay, introductory. Then it talks about the greatness of the authors. But if you really want to get into Lamrim, preparatory practices starts cleaning the room, setting up the altar, just what we talked about. Then he goes into petitioning the merit field. We talked about that. Then he talks about 7-limb prayer. We talked about that. Okay. Part 3, he talks about foundation of the path, devoting yourself to a spiritual guide, right? And how that devotion looks like. Then comes to the small scope, the starting of the Lamrim. And it says, precious human rebirth. Number 2, then he talks about death and impermanence, taking refuge, observing laws of cause and effect, which is karma, and it goes on. So what I'm trying to tell you is many of these texts, if you take your Lamrim, Chenmo, or Liberation in Palm of your hand, or what Linda provided you in meditation, it's a little manual of meditations on Lamrim. And you may have a copy of that available as in where the homework is listed. These are all Lamrim meditations, step by step. Right? Now, it may sound like a lot. Do you have to do every single one? No. Instead, Lama Zopa Rinpoche suggests that you take one. For example, just take precious human rebirth, for example. Okay? And then, not even the entire thing, you want to go, let's go do this. So when you go to precious human rebirth, you're going to find the 8 freedoms and then 10 endowments. Already 18 things there. And then you have to think about the actions you need to take, the thoughts you need to create. So it becomes pretty, only do what you can relate to. But what I would suggest to you, not only what it relates to you, but sit on a certain point for a couple of days till you can really look at it from different angles. Now let's take an example, okay? Freedom from being born in a place with no dharma. I can relate to that. You could be in Ukraine right now. You could be in China right now. You could be in North Korea right now, born there. Think, would you have freedom to practice dharma? See? So you can take one point and put yourself there. Put yourself in a place where it's difficult to practice dharma, and you're not born there. So how, that's your freedom. You are so lucky to be in a place where you can come to Kadampa Center, you can buy a book, you can read, you can attend a class. You have a freedom. And you know what? When you think about hell realms and hungry ghosts, I know people don't relate to it, but it's not too far-fetched. A different dimension, or even if you take this human life, can we think of people in torture chambers, death row? Think of their mind, okay? Or a place where there is no food, okay? It's not too far away from hungry ghost. Think of an animal realm. Because when we think of animal realm, maybe most of us think of a pet cat or a pet dog. But you know, Lama Zopa Rinpoche said, even if you were to go temporarily in their minds, they have anxiety. The cats are always jumpy, right? Little noise and they'll take off. And dogs' minds are dull. Sometimes they're happy, they appear good, and in a luckier state than a wild dog, but still their mind is not, it's very hard for them to practice dharma. So we have a precious human rebirth. Why? It's only precious because we have this opportunity. That's why it's precious. There's many human births, but it's precious because we are understanding, we know that we have an opportunity. And for most of us, freedom from being born with defective senses. We can see or hear or at least speak, right? So point is, sit on one and look at it from different angles and make it more experiential for you. Think about experiences that you've had or somebody else close to you has had. That's how this becomes meaningful. When you reach that aha moment and you can really get with it and say, yes, this makes sense, then move on to the next point. Okay, there's no reason to cram all of these things into your head, because by the time you reach karma, you've forgotten precious human rebirth. That's not the point. You want to make it part. So what happens next time when you hear it, when somebody says even an acronym, PCR, we call it in Buddhism, precious human rebirth, or PHR, I mean, it will trigger immediately that feeling. If you've really meditated on it, if you've thought about it, it will trigger a thought. That is integration. It creates anguish. It creates a feeling. And that's exactly the point of doing these meditations. And again, liberation in palm of your hand, this Lamrim Chenmo and the book on meditations, these are like meditations. You don't have to have exactly word by word if you just read a certain portion and analyze it. Only then you will come to terms with experience. Otherwise, it's just meditation after meditation. Okay, a bunch of meditation. I feel good when I do it for half an hour, 15 minutes. I got to go to work. Then you're back in that mundane life. The meditation is part-time, it's gone the next day, right? But to really settle it in your system, the thoughts, the changing of the mind, then you need to really sit on some of these points for a while. It doesn't matter. You don't need to know everything all the time. But once you do it, it will come very quickly. Think about it when you drive first time somewhere you've never been. You're paying attention to where that store is, where the McDonald's, that's a green light. I have to make a right turn. I have to make a left turn. Oh, there's a big oak tree there. It seems longer than normal, right? You've been there now. If you do it 3-4 times, what happens? You can talk on the phone and be there. And you automatically, you get accustomed to it. So what happens is once you've gone through this in detail and you've really had that thoughts come to your mind like, wow, I get it. Next time you don't need to look at it too much. Just look at it, it's there. And that's all it's required. Okay. So let's talk about some richnesses just quickly.
Hemant, we
Yes.
saw the fireworks go off behind you when you were inspired there.
Oh, I don't know. The Zoom sometimes does that. When I get excited and when I'm a little animated, it does fireworks.
It was perfect timing.
So it recognizes it, huh? My excitement, I guess. So then there are 10 endowments or richnesses, personal ones. Again, we talked about you're born as a human being. You're born in the center of a religious, or put it this way, not born in a barbaric country. You don't need to take every word there, okay? You're being born with a well-functioning body and mind, not have committed any 5 heinous crimes, and they talk about in the heinous crimes like killing your father, killing your mother, dividing the Sangha members and killing the arhats and so forth. But main thing is you've not committed those. And having faith in the Dharma, that you have some idea that maybe this will help me. This will bring that happiness. So maybe you have some faith. So those are personal thoughts. Circumstantial, you're born when the teachings are still available. They exist and they flourish. What I really like is the 4th one, being born in a fortunate period when we are able to meet with pure followers of the Buddha's teachings. You can relate to that. And then being born in a fortunate period when practitioners can enjoy kind support. You can celebrate that. Right? This means, so don't worry about taking every word and saying, oh my gosh, I don't understand this and I don't want to think about the hellish realms. So don't get too much into it. Relate as much as you can in this life. And there's plenty of examples. And analyze it. And analyze it. Can that happen? It's a state of a mind or a dimension or a realm. It happens in this realm right now, if you think about it. So you can relate to that. So when you go through this precious human rebirth, now you see, just talking about it, certain thoughts were triggered in your mind. a pictures came in your mind, and that's how you want to meditate. And now all you want to do is relate it to yourself. So it becomes your experience. Okay? Let's take one more example. This is a topic we try to ignore or put away on side. Who wants to talk about death, right? Our culture teaches us not to actually ignore it. It's almost like a taboo to talk about death. Okay? But it is, death is certain. And this first scope in Lamrim is a wake-up call. As you progress, you go into equanimity and bodhicitta and types of suffering and all that stuff. But if you take the first scope in Lamrim, it is like a wake-up call. It generates some real feelings. And it's meant to do that because you need to come to, somebody needs to say, hey, I'm going to shake you up and saying, hey, what are you doing every day, all day long? Your life is passing by and death is certain. There is no power in this universe can stop death. One gets closer to the death every minute. When you're born, you're dying every minute. While still alive and we have free time to practice Dharma, it is extremely important. We have limited time. The time of the death is uncertain. Think of all those 911 calls. Think of the fires we had in Texas, in Hawaii. Did they go to sleep thinking the house is going to be burned down? Right? So it's a thought. We are okay. We're going to say, we'll get up tomorrow and I'll do my practice tomorrow, right? We do that. But the urgency of this is to wake us up, saying, you are so lucky to be listening to this that I can do something. I can change my mind. I want to be compassionate. I want to be kind. I want to be a happier person. Right? So, and the things that kill us are many, and the things that keep us alive are few. In general, you think about the earthquakes and the accidents that can happen in a car. I heard on the news today, the school bus got crashed into some trailer and the drivers died and 3 kids died. Think of the parents or the kids. They didn't wake up thinking that's what's going to happen to them. So it puts things, and we've lost people in our lives, and we know how that feels. So it's very important that this is another wake-up call. And Dharma, remember, is not about knowing 20 books and 1,000 prayers. It is about changing your mind. And when you're in a state of mind, when there's a fear, Dharma and Lamrim will help you. That's the point. And no possessions. And, nobody's saying don't have a job and don't have possessions and don't have your home. And this is not what, this is where, but just remember, these are temporary things and enjoy life. Be thankful you did some positive things in last life to be able to afford it. And you go to school and you study hard and you do things. But remember, when time comes, these things are going to go. What's going to go with you are the merits you created and the mind, the subtle mind that goes to the next life, if there is one for you. Okay, so each point you can meditate on, and it can take a couple of days. Really, really get into it and then think about it. Walk around with it, go to work, come back, think about it again. Is it true? What Buddha is saying here, Lama Tsongkhapa has written this for us in a structured way. Is this true? Argue and ask why. Why do I need to know these things? It should trigger something in your mind. Okay? So that's the point. So then let's talk about what's the goal of the Buddha Dharma. Okay? So we think, I want to be happy. Maybe I can get temporary happiness. Maybe some people may think, oh, I need to follow something. We have all different stories in our mind. So is it the dissatisfied mind? Remember, you need to remember this. What is the path? Why are we doing it? I'm just going to move to my notes quickly so I can tell you, don't miss a point here. And we need to think, what does it mean that we want to transform our minds? When you think about Buddha Dharma, we think we want to transform our mind. What does it mean? There are Buddhist teachings out there that say Buddhism is about calm when horrible things are happening. And what the teachings are saying, that's not what Buddhism is all about. Death is happening, aging is happening, but I'm relaxed, I'm calm. That's not what Buddhism is all about. Now, what Buddha is saying is, you can become a Buddha. You don't have to age. You don't have to get sick. You don't have to, period. And it's possible to finish all of it forever. That's actually the Buddha Dharma. You want to become Buddha, an enlightened being. That's the goal of Buddha. And you know, I'll tell you just quickly that when Buddha got enlightened under the Bodhi tree, it took him 49 days to think about teaching or what to do. He contemplated for 49 days. When he realized all of these things, he realized the path. He was an enlightened being. And when he saw what he saw, he was wondering, how is he going to explain this to people? That you don't have to age, you don't have to die. You can become a Buddha. It took him 49 days. It is very profound. So you get it. We understand that the goal of Buddha Dharma is to become enlightened, to benefit others. Okay, so now I talked about this earlier and I said I was going to repeat it again, but we want to do what they call glance meditation. So once you know Lamrim summary, if you don't, get used to reading the 14 verses, the foundation of all good qualities, or open up your Lamrim Chenmo, or just Liberation Palm of your hand, and just look at the content. Another good place, I have a great summary from Venerable Thupten Chodron. She actually has line by line main titles, subtitles, and the topics of Lamrim in just 2 pages or 2.5 pages. You know, so what happens is you just kind of think about, glance it, say, okay, devotion to my teacher, the advantages, the disadvantages, what my thoughts should be, what my actions should be, precious human rebirth, impermanence and death, thinking of lower realms and different dimensions, sufferings. Then you go to say, I want to take a refuge. So taking a refuge, what does it mean to take a refuge? And then once you've taken refuge, then you go and learn about karma, cause and effect. Positive things lead to positive karma actions and life, next results. Negative things lead to disturbing mind. Okay, why? How does this work? And you can meditate on all of these things slowly and steadily, right? One topic at a time. Once you have karma, you go to the second scope, and then you start thinking about 4 noble truths. What did Buddha teach, and what does each noble truth mean? Types of suffering. Suffering of suffering, suffering of pain, suffering of change. You can go through that. Right? Then you think about what brings me back in samsara again and again and again. How can I free myself? And then there's a whole thing on 12 links, which keeps you in circle. You learn about that. You learn about emptiness. You learn about renunciation. You learn about bodhicitta. And then you go to the third scope, equanimity. And 6 perfections, how one should function with a generosity and patience and morality, joyful effort, developing this mind concentration in mind, meditative equipoise, and wisdom of emptiness. These things will come as you progress. And each topic you will find, once you get into it, it expands and you get deeper, and you will get deeper yourself. And it won't take that much time. In the beginning, it's like going that first time to somebody's home and you don't know the direction, right? So you see a lot of stuff. My purpose here to show you today is these are different options. But really, if you take home something, there is a process. We have a book called Lamrim. We have stages to the path. Take a topic, become familiar with it, trigger that experience, change your mind. If you can do that one small thing at a time, you would have taken a big step of integrating Dharma positively in your mind. And then what you'll find out, this is all interwoven. You're talking about equanimity, and a precious human rebirth will come in your mind. You're talking about something else, and another topic will come. They're all interwoven. They will trigger, remember, just very quickly. Your mind will trigger those experiences very quickly. Okay. So I know that I never stop to ask any questions. I know that maybe the last class will have some time, but if you have something related to what I have talked about right now or these topics, please feel free to ask me at this point.
If you're online, you can put it in the chat. And if you're here in the Gampa, just raise your hand.
Okay, and you know what? And if it is a long topic, and if I'm not able to answer right now, I will get back to you. And we will find time to answer those questions. And if I don't know, I will find out. But it's good. I need to do this often, but I know I have so much to cover. And then what happens is the classes go by and then you don't get time. But I do take the last class to go through the whole summary of everything and then open it up for question and answer. Okay, but so write them down if you don't feel like asking right now. But I'm hoping that some of this is sticking in about integrating it, changing your mind, analyzing it, asking why am I doing it? What is the purpose? Who said it? Challenge it, analyze it from different angles. Only when it really triggers something in you and it makes sense, move forward. Okay?
Hemant,
Yes.
Rainey does have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead, Rainey.
Thanks, Hemant. On the slide that's in front of us now, I see where it says become familiar with the flow and go deeper. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on that point.
Sure. So we've talked about getting up and doing bodhicitta. Then you do your preliminary practices. Then before setting the meditation, you do your preparatory practices, clean the room, setting the altar, sitting merit field, offering mandala, requesting teachers. So there's a flow. So you prep your mind, then you do your meditation, do a little bit of reading. Then the next flow comes, you're going to do your meditation. Now the question comes, what meditation to do? There's so many things out there. Which meditation should I do, right? So we did Shakyamuni Buddha Guru Yoga, right? You can start with something like that. Or if you're a little advanced, you can go to Lamrim and start with a Lamrim with a flow, precious human Guru devotion, precious human rebirth, death and impermanence, right? You can take step at a time. So create your own little flow and become familiar with it. And then as you get deeper into a topic that really intrigues you and you have more questions, go a little deeper. And then I show you the books. One is very detailed with 3 volumes. Go at it. Or you want to just get a summary, go to Liberation in Palm of Your Hand. And for beginners, everything is in the prayer book. I have covered it red, but it's the golden prayer book. And I have marked just about every page I could mark. Believe me, I go through this for a couple of years. I went through this and I've gotten it where I can just look at it and say, I got it. Okay, I remember this. Even the 35 Confession Buddha, the morning practices, everything is in there. Shakyamuni Buddha prayers are in there. For the foundation of our good qualities is in there. Right? So what the whole idea is, become a little familiar. Okay, write down what is it that you can do. Not everybody has 2 hours, 3 hours in a day to do these things, right? So you have 15, 20 minutes. In that 15, 20 minutes, can you mentally put a positive mind? Can you do a couple of mantras? Can you sit for 5 to 10 minutes and do a little breathing exercise or meditation? Can you think about the one teachings from Lamrim or Buddha and just focus there? Thank you. Dedicate. And in between, if you have time, you're on walking, running, exercising, treadmill, whatever you're doing, you could do a couple of mantras. Right? Come back in the evening, create a routine. Family will adjust, saying this, I need 15 minutes. Do a little bit of practice, do a little Vajrasattva, and dedicate. Go get your food, offer the food, enjoy it. Go to sleep. Start slow. It's not necessary to do everything and jam it in. It's not going to happen. It's not going to help you, right? So that's the idea behind try to become familiar with the flow and go deeper. Take one topic as you expand your mind, Go a little deeper. What does it really mean? What does Buddha say? What does the Lama Tsongkhapa say? What does it say in the liberation of palm of your hands? You start to analyze it and look at it from different angles till it hits you. Does that answer your question, Rainey?
Yes, Amen, it really did. Thanks for elaborating a bit more.
Okay, thank you. And again, like I said, these are all interwoven. Okay, it is 7:53. And let me see what else I have real quick. And I just talked about that when I was elaborating, go with the flow. The multi-pronged approach is nothing different than day. It just sets the tone for the day. Work out your own formula and add a little concentration practice. I'm going backwards and see what I'm going to do in the morning. I'm going to mix it in the afternoon if I have a few minutes, if I'm on a walking or taking a walk or walking my dog or whatever. And then in the evening, just create your own flow, but do something to help your mind. That's the whole idea. You don't have to be very systematic in everything. Just sometimes you can do a multi-pronged approach. Okay, we all feel this way, like the cartoon on the left sometimes. When we have to go at 8 o'clock, you have to go have a meeting, you know. But you gotta somehow find some time for yourself and your mind. Okay, so let's just sit down and just calm yourself again, get into that meditation position. And we're gonna do a real nice meditation today. This is a meditation done on the basis of a daily meditation practice of Shakyamuni Buddha, put together by Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and with special emphasis on the 7-limb prayer practice and doing the meditation of refuge and bodhicitta. Okay, so for preparation, to begin, check to make sure your spine is straight. Again, the 7-point meditation posture, hands in the lap, thumbs together, right over left hand, shoulders are relaxed, head slightly tilted, mouth and jaw relaxed, and the gaze just slightly beyond the nose towards the floor. Take few long, deep breaths, allowing ourselves to relax into the meditation posture and be completely present. Let's set the motivation for this practice. Recognizing that our lives are very special, with incredible opportunity to study spiritual teachings at our leisure, to even have the space and the time and the quietness to do something like meditate. And to live in a culture where there's a free exchange of ideas, where we can ask the question of our heart and find the answers. And so wanting to take advantage of this opportunity that we have and recognizing that it won't last forever. And then reflecting that to work for our welfare alone is so limited. But my life has the potential to benefit many. And what a waste if I were to work only for my own happiness, when I could become a source of happiness for countless living beings. So with a wish to maximize the potential of our lives and receive the blessings of our pure enlightenment within us, we will do this practice of meditation on Shakyamuni Buddha. Just for a moment, if you don't mind, if you can just take a look at the slide. We have these 4 mantras. It is usually in Sanskrit. It's called Namo Gurubhya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. And there's a tune. They will say Om Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, like that. But what it really means is, to the Guru, I go for refuge. Namo Buddhaya means to the Buddha, I go for refuge. And Namo Dharmaya means to the Dharma, I go for refuge. And Namo Sanghaya means to the Sangha, I go for refuge. So visualizing in the space before us on a golden throne, supported by snow lions, seated on a lotus, a radiant sun and a moon disk, is Shakyamuni Buddha. He has a blue-black hair, red smiling lips, blue eyes. He wears the robes of a monk. His body emanates an aura of golden light. He manifests in our lives as the various teachers has given us the gift of teachings themselves and has established the community of the Sangha. So first, generating the mind of refuge, the mind of entrustment in this perfect energy, in this perfect teacher, in all of these teachings. Thinking of what we are afraid of, what we would like to do to avoid, especially thinking of what we would like to achieve with our lives, knowing that we have this great potential, and yet we have not managed to actualize it. Knowing that so many living beings are in pain and suffering and wanting to do something about it. So turning to Shakyamuni Buddha, the essence of all our teachers and the teachings, and completely entrusting ourselves under his care, his guidance, and seeking his blessings, we recite the refuge prayer. To the Guru, I go for refuge. To the Buddha, I go for refuge. And to the Dharma, I go for refuge. And to the Sangha, I go for refuge. Then generating bodhicitta within our mind stream. First, thinking of just one person in our lives, someone we know who is struggling, whether in body or in mind. Or maybe it is someone who has already passed away, and we are concerned that might have happened to them because they had a difficult death. Try to bring that person up in your mind as clearly as possible, seeing how stuck they are. Maybe there's a situation in our world right now that is painful to think about. So much unnecessary suffering. For what? Then allowing into our consciousness the awareness of all the various ways that beings are struggling right now. Those who are hungry, those who are sick, those who live in countries where there is much warfare or strife or political oppression, and even in countries that are fairly wealthy, even among people who have their every physical need met, there is so much mental torment, so much confusion, seeing the faces very clearly and feeling the wish inside to do something about it. And taking responsibility inside to do something about it. And from our daily meditation practice, the four immeasurables. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were able to abide in equanimity, free of hatred and attachment. May they abide in equanimity. I myself will cause them to abide in equanimity. Please, Guru Deity, grant me blessing to be able to do just this. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings had happiness and the causes of happiness. May they have happiness and its causes. And I myself will cause them to have happiness and its causes. Please, Guru Deity, grant me blessings to be able to do that. Then, how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were free of suffering and its causes. May they be free of suffering and its causes. I myself will cause them to be free of suffering and its causes. Please, Guru Deity, grant me blessings to be able to do this. How wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were never separated from happiness of higher rebirth and liberation. May they never be separated from these. I myself will cause them never to be separated from these. Please, Guru Deity, grant me blessings to be able to do this. In particular, I must achieve enlightenment quickly in order to free all the numberless kind mother sentient beings from the unimaginable oceans of samsaric suffering and the causes of suffering, and lead them to peerless full enlightenment. For this purpose, I am going to do the practice of 7 limbs, making requests and reciting Shakyamuni Buddha's mantra. Then very strongly connecting with Shakyamuni Buddha, seeing him as a teacher, manifesting in various forms to guide us, and as the Buddha that we ourselves will become. So developing a firm conviction, commitment, and entrustment into this energy. So we start with the 7 limb. The very first one is prostration. So in your mind, identifying clearly a quality of that enlightened mind that we ourselves wish to achieve, and mentally prostrating with our body, speech, and mind with the wish to achieve that quality ourselves. Thinking to ourselves, this is the second one, offering. Thinking to ourselves, what would I give for enlightenment? Enlightenment, perfect wisdom, perfect compassion, perfect ability. What is it worth to me? And visualizing, making an offering. Walking up to Shakyamuni Buddha and presenting this offering. As we present it, it multiplies, filling all the entire expanse of space. Shakyamuni Buddha is extremely pleased and accepts this offering. His mind experiences great bliss. All the offerings that you made absorb into his heart. Confessing, then thinking of the actions that we have done, mistakes that we have made. And before Shakyamuni Buddha, openly just letting him know, confessing, and admitting them as mistakes. Maybe it was a harsh word, an unkind look, maybe generating regret in the mind for mistakes that we have made, and a resolve that the next time I'll do it differently. The next limb, rejoicing, and then rejoicing in the goodness of ourselves, in the effort that we are making right now, and that we must have made in the past to have these conditions. Some goodness that we've done to others, some sincere wish of heart, thinking how wonderful it is. Then expanding that rejoicing to include others around us, holy beings, ordinary beings, thinking of all the good things that are done in the world, how wonderful it is. Now, requesting our teacher to stay with us and never to leave us, our side, until we achieve this liberation and enlightenment that we seek. Offering them golden throne with a double dorje, representing firmness and stability. And we request teachings, and from the depths of our heart, requesting them to give us the blessings, to teach us what we need to know this very day. Imagine that Shakyamuni Buddha receives the request and promises to teach. Now we offer mandala. We say these words in the prayer book. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha figure and offer it. And may all living beings enjoy this pure land. And then we end by saying, Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryataya Mi, Tayatha Mune Mune Mahamune Soha. Then with the great final offerings, we offer this mandala, visualizing the world as we wish that it were, with clean air, clean water, everything made of light and luminous, beautiful flowers and fragrances everywhere. everything beautiful to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, to touch, and to think about. The perfect world that we ourselves wish to quickly bring about. And visualizing that we are holding it in our hands, but that it reflects the entire universe. And approaching Shakyamuni Buddha from our hearts, we make this offering. There's a prayer Lama Zopa Rinpoche talks about the three great purposes. I go for refuge to the Guru and the three precious, rare, sublime ones. Please bless my mental continuum. Please bless me and all sentient beings to cease immediately all wrong conceptions. Please bless me and all sentient beings to actualize immediately all the correct realizations from the Guru devotion up to the stage of no more learning. Please pacify immediately all outer and inner obstacles. Then it's said, while making requests, that's very helpful to imagine that we are holding the feet of our teacher with great longing and devotion in our hearts. Then we make the following request. Hey Guru, or Vajradhara, or Shakyamuni Buddha, who encompasses all three objects of refuge, taking the form of the virtuous friends in whatever ways is of the benefit, and granting common and sublime realizations. To you, kind Gurus, I make requests, whose holy body is created by millions of virtues and goodness, whose holy speech fulfills wishes of all sentient beings, whose holy mind sees every existent exactly, at the holy feet of the principle of all chakras, I make request. And then you make offerings and requests with devotion to the highest sublime field of merit. Please grant me blessings and guide me with your pleased holy mind. And then you visualize and recite Shakyamuni Buddha's mantra. Tayatha Om Mune Mune Mahamune Soha. A final purifying shower of stream comes forth from Shakyamuni Buddha's body and mind, completely cleansing us of all obstacles on the path, inner and outer. Our body and mind become calm, clear like crystal. As we recite the mantra again, you receive the blessings of Shakyamuni Buddha's holy body speech and all the realizations of the path in the form of golden nectar and light. Tayatha, Om, Mune Mune, Mahamune, Soha. Shakyamuni Buddha then melts into the stream of golden light and descends to our hearts, becoming inseparably mixed with our minds. Our body and mind are completely pervaded by this golden light of enlightenment, perfect wisdom, perfect compassion, perfect ability. We are clarified as a pure light beings, abiding in the world solely for the purpose of benefiting others. This is me. Dedicating all the positive energy that we've generated during this meditation to the quick enlightenment of each and every living being. May we ourselves quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and become exactly what is needed to benefit all. Let's do a quick dedication and reflecting on the teachings we just had. May we ourselves quickly attain all the qualities of Buddhahood within our mind. May we understand perfectly exactly how to meditate on stages of the path. May we do so without any obstacles, and may we all have realizations that we may be able to give those realizations to others. Thank you. It is 8:13. One more slide. Next session. Protecting our minds. Training in the 8 verses of training of the mind. Lamrim colored glasses will talk about how to view the world with these colored glasses, walking meditations, feeding of the Dharma practice, everyday Dharma, living in the vows, multiple things. Yoga of eating, yoga of sleeping, and all this. We can just kind of make it a little more juicy. Okay. With that, I'll stick around if you have any questions. Otherwise, I hope you take away a few things. Don't get completely like, oh my gosh, there's so much to know. No. Take few things. Take your Lamrim book. Take one meditation. Do your preliminary practice. Create the right mind. Clean slate in the morning. Develop a positive mind. Do a few meditations. Calm abiding. Read a little bit of Lamrim. Stick with 1 or 2 points and analyze it. Go do your take your breakfast, eat whatever you need to do, clean the space up, or do your little the 6 preliminary practices, and then you can go to your work. And then in the evening you can just develop your own little flow. What I'm saying is, it's not that everything has to be done, but just a mind that develops this positive attitude. And then you will start to see that as you start to read Lamrim, things will fall in place. Okay. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Heyman.
Thank you very much, Heyman.
We'll
Thank
see everyone next week, if not before then.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night.